this? This is a pencil. You can draw, you can write with it. Do you want to hear a story about this pencil? I will tell it to you. The title is The Parable of the Pencil. The pencil maker took the pencil aside just before putting him into the box. There are 5 things you need to know, he told the pencil. Before I send you into the world, always remember them and never forget. And you will become the best pencil you can be. 1. You will be able to do many great things, but only if you allow yourself to be held in someone's hand. 2. You will experience a painful sharpening from time to time, but you need it to become a better pencil. 3. You will be able to correct any mistakes you might make. 4. The most important part of you will always be what's inside. And 5. On every surface you are used on, you must leave your mark. No matter what the condition, you must continue to write. The pencil understood and promised to remember and went into the box with a purpose in its heart. Now, replacing the place of the pencil with you. Always remember them and never forget, and you will become the best person you can be. 1. You will be able to do many great things, but only if you allow yourself to be held in God's hand and allow other human beings to access you to the many gifts you possess. 2. You will experience a painful sharpening from time to time by going through various problems in life, but you need them to become a stronger person. 3. You will be able to correct any mistakes you might make. 4. The most important part of you will always be what's on the inside. And 5. On every surface you walk through, you must leave your mark no matter what the situation is. You must continue to do your journey. Wow, you do this. Wow, that is a really nice story, Abu, right? Do you know the moral lesson of this story? I will tell it to you. Allow this parable of the pencil to encourage you to know that you are a special person and that only you can fulfill the purpose that you were born to accomplish. Never allow yourself to get discouraged and think that your life is insignificant and cannot make a difference. Wow, that is a really nice story. Again, right? That is so nice story. You're so good. Okay, bye. Princess Jasmine is waiting for us.
A new fantastic point of view.
Are you excited for a new story? Okay, I'll read one. Rainy Sunny Day, a story from the scripture as told by Venerable Master Singyan. There was once an old lady who cried all the time. Her elder daughter was married to an umbrella merchant, while the younger daughter was the wife of a noodle vendor. On sunny days, she worried. Oh no! The weather is so nice and sunny. No one is going to buy any umbrellas. What will happen if the shop has to be closed? This worries made her sad, and she just could not help but cry.
When it rained, she would cry for the younger daughter. She thought, oh no, my younger daughter is married to a noodle vendor.
You cannot dry noodles without the sun. Now there will be no noodles to sell. What should we do?
As a result, the old lady lived in sorrow every day. Whether sunny or rainy, she grieved for one of her daughters.
Her name is Wonderful Silver, and joking behold her, a crying lady.
One day she met a monk. He was very curious as to why she was always crying.
She explained the problem to him. The monk smiled kindly and said, Madam, we need not worry and we show you our way to happiness and we will need to pray. We will need to pray no more.
The lady was very excited. She immediately asked the monk to show her what to do.
The master replied, it is very simple. Just need to change your perspective. On sunny days, do not think of your elder daughter not being able to sell umbrellas, but the younger daughter being able to buy her noodles.
Such good, strong son. She must be able to make golden noodles. And her business is very good. And when it rains, think about the umbrella story of the elder daughter. With the rain, everyone must be buying umbrellas. She will sell a lot of umbrellas and her store will prosper. The old lady saw the light. She followed the monk's instructions.
Well, she did. Not cry anymore. Instead, she was smiling every day.
That day, on she was known as the Smiling Lady. Thank you for listening. Bye!
Summer Sun by Robert Louis Stevenson. Great as the sun and white he goes, through empty heaven with purpose.
And in the blue and glowing days,
More thick than rain he showered his rays.
Look closer still, the blinds we pull.
to keep the shady corner cool.
Yet he will find a drink or two.
To slip his golden fingers through.
The dusty attic spider clad.
He threw the keyhole, make it glad.
And through the broken edge of tiles, into the rider tail of slugs.
Meantime, his golden face around.
He bears to all the garden ground.
And sheds a warm and glittering glow. Above the hills, along the blue.
Round the bright air with fruiting.
To please the child, to paint the rose.
The gardener of the world. That's all. Did you like the cinnamon? Okay, thank you.
man's needs, but not every man's greed. For centuries, we have continued to battle against global warming. It's a global phenomenon of climate transformation where the Earth's temperature gradually increases. The heat trapping in the Earth's atmosphere is due to the greenhouse effect caused by human activities, primarily fossil fuel burning, gas levels, and other pollutants. It's the most significant threat we face today, which may lead to mass extinction. In the last 40 years, we've witnessed the global annual temperature rise by 0.18 degrees Celsius or 0.32 degrees Fahrenheit per decade. The Earth is warming, the ice is melting, and the sea level is rising. It's a global problem that affects everyone, including the social, economic, and territorial. Philippines is one of the countries most affected by this crisis. According to German Watch, extreme weather events caused a total of 455 deaths in the country in 2018, and an economic drop in GDP of 0.48% per capita.
Our team gathered information about their conditions and how this catastrophe involved their everyday lives. This is Manong EJ, a farmer who has been farming for his whole life. Besides a mining zone, over the years he has experienced all kinds of calamities, but climate change is the one that eradicates him lahat.
Siyempre, mahirap, lalo-lalo na sa aming mga mahihirap. 3 beses sa isang taon lang kaming nag-aani, minsan wala pa. Ilang beses na tinangay ng bagyo ang aming mga ani, bukod pa roon na ang pagkasira ng lupa ay dahil sa init ng panahon.
Climate change disturbs the agricultural ecosystem, resulting in a shift in agricultural climatic elements such as temperature, precipitation, and sunlight, while further influencing the arable, livestock, and hydrology sectors, causing population movement and change in biodiversity and the growing pattern of pastures. It also reduces crop quantity and quality and cannot meet the demand, just like what Manang and Manang experience every year.
Mababa ng aming kita. Wala na kaming makain. Bawal maging darating. Kahirapan talaga dito.
As you can see in the graph, the country's GDP in agriculture gradually decreases nor stays the same from 2013 to 2020. Things don't get any better.
Global warming plays a massive part in this. It damages the agriculture, biodiversity, and lives of many of our kababayang farmers. Another factor is that Manang and Manang lives beside the mining zone. Mine exploration, construction, operation, and maintenance pollute the air and drinking water, harm wildlife and habitat, cause deforestation, erosion, and contamination, and permanently scar natural landscapes.
Sorry ma'am, bilang isang minero, ginawa ko lang po ang trabaho para sa aking pamilya.
Lisensyado ba kayo?
The Philippines is tightening oversight of the roughly 300,000 small-scale miners in the country, as it looks to curb illegal mining, gold smuggling, and protect the environment. A total of 142 million tons of sulfur dioxide is emitted into the atmosphere yearly because of smelting, which is 13% of total global emissions. It does not only affect farmers, but also marine life. Today, the water has absorbed about 90% of the heat generated by rising emissions. Rising temperatures increase the risk of irreversible loss of marine and coastal ecosystems. Widespread changes have been observed, including the damage to coral reefs and mangroves that support ocean life and migration of species to higher latitudes and altitudes where the water could be cooler.
Dati, kilong-kilong isda ang nahuhuli namin, pero ngayon, iilan na lang ma'am. Paswertihan pa kung may nakain sa pang-araw-araw.
Papaano naman po ang inyong kalusugan?
Oh, bentang-benta ho ang stroke dito. Wala naman kaming ibang paraan. Ang choice ay para sa mayayaman lang.
Global warming does not affect the living and employment of Filipino citizens, but is a significant threat to human health. The study involving dozens of scientists worldwide found that 9.4% of global deaths each year are attributed to heat or cold exposure, equivalent to 74 extra deaths per 100,000 people. Every year, the numbers gradually increase, thus increases in the risk of accidents and impacts on wider well-being from extreme weather events. The emerging and re-emerging animal diseases are increasing challenges to European animal and human health by viral zoonotic diseases and vector-borne diseases. Earlier this year, scientists analyzing 2 ice core samples from Buya Ice Cap Tibet identified several such viruses.
How dangerous for human society if this ice melts and new bacteria re-emerge?
They could be ancient viruses that once caused to vanish half the world's population, such as the smallpox virus that we wrongly think they've eradicated. These viruses can be a pandemic threat like the COVID-19.
Global warming is indeed man-made. We created this catastrophe. We must take responsibility.
That's why, as a group of students, we are here to use our voice, to spread awareness and speak up on the behalf of the afflicted. First and foremost, we are politically engaged citizens. We fight for what is right. By utilizing the use of social media, we aim to get the attention of government, industry, and companies to take urgent action toward the net zero emission. In addition, we also push corporations and politicians to follow the Paris Agreement. An agreement includes commitments from all countries in reducing their emission and work together to adapt to the impact of climate change. This calls on the attention of government to strengthen their obligation over time. We also promote the use of renewable and sustainable energy. These are resources that can maintain current operations without jeopardizing future generation energy needs or climate. The most popular sustainable that we promote are wind, solar, and hydropower. But we don't just speak, we also act. We reduce our carbon prints and use less energy at home. We use plant-based meals and use what we have and compost any leftovers. Of course, 3 R's are our friend, which are reduce, reuse, and recycle. Plus, we will not be afraid to inform the authorities about the illegal activities that may harm the environment. Lastly, we'll gladly participate and volunteer to any project that involves helping to stop global warming. Through this action, we can help our fellow kababayans with the fight against global warming, especially the farmers and the fishermen who produce our foods. We encourage you to listen to the voice inside. We already have the facts and solution. All we need to do is wake up, stand up, and make a change. Because we believe our micro efforts will have a macro effects.
This is not a test. This is your emergency broadcast system.
The Earth is dying. We are not saying this. 14,000 scientists across the world are.
It is unequivocal that human activities are responsible for climate change. That's the finding of a new study by the UN's Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change.
Nations around the world have been reacting to that UN landmark climate report that issued a code red for humanity.
They say that the earth is a gift to mankind, and it is our duty and responsibility to protect it for future generations. But what if I tell you that we only have a few years left to save our planet Earth?
The gradual increase in the planet's average temperature is known as global warming. Even though this current warming has been ongoing for a while, it has spread dramatically over the past 100 years.
People using items like natural gas to keep houses warm and gasoline for vehicles is a significant contributor to the current global warming. However, the heat from burning itself only little contributes to global warming. The main culprit is carbon dioxide, which is released during burning. The biggest contributor to the global warming among greenhouse gases is the buildup of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere.
Climate change is a problem that has developed as a result of global warming. The term climate change describes modification to global weather patterns and agricultural seasons. also refers to the rise in the sea level brought on by ice sheets and glaciers melting and warmer oceans expanding. Due to extensive flooding and extreme weather, climate change brought on by global warming poses a serious threat to life on Earth.
One of the most affected living beings on Earth is humans, and according to the 2017 World Risk Report, the Philippines is the third most susceptible nation to climate change. The effects of climate change on the Philippines are severe. It includes annual losses in GDP, modifications to rainfall patterns and distribution, drought, threats to the biodiversity and food security, our level rise risk the public's health and endangerment of vulnerable groups like indigenous people. As you can see, it is a threat that affects all of us, especially children, the elderly, low-income groups, and minorities. There are many ways that it could affect us. And since the temperature rises, so the disease incidences.
Despite having a low level of public awareness of climate change, 71% of Filipinos believe that they would be at least somewhat affected by climate change. And according to an HHI survey, of those 46% say they are more likely to get hurt or sick from climate change.
The proportion of those who have personally experienced climate change impacts is highest in the National Capital Region that has 91%, followed by the rest of Luzon with 87%, Visayas with 84%, and Mindanao with 78%. The percentage of those who personally experience climate change impacts is highest in urban areas with 90%, compared to rural areas with 79%.
This shows that many poor countries derive their income from climate changes in agriculture, fishing, and natural resources. Since many people live in hazard zones such as watercourses, low-lying flood-prone areas, critical slopes, and coastal zones, making them vulnerable to extreme weather events such as rising sea levels, powerful typhoons, and floods. Climate change is expected to lead more intense typhoons, higher sea levels, and storm surges. Since the Philippines has a high exposure to natural hazards such as cyclones, landslides, floods, and droughts.
Moving forward, since we already know who are the affected ones, now we should determine how are they affected by this global warming.
Number 1 is that we experience more intense drought. The most current El Nino, which affected the Philippines from 2015 to 2016, is caused by global warming. And according to the Department of Agriculture, the previous El Nino period's drought and dry weather directly impacted 413,456 farmers.
Number 2 is the high sea level rise. Our country has the highest observed sea level rise at 60 centimeters, which is remarkably higher than the global average of 19 centimeters. With 64 coastal provinces, 822 coastal municipalities, 25 major coastal cities, and an estimated 13.6 million Filipinos who will need to relocate, all at risk. 60% of LGUs are affected.
Number 3 is more public health emergencies. A rise in illness including dengue, malaria, cholera, and typhoid is another effect of higher temperatures. Roughly 40,000 dengue cases, 1,200 cholera cases, and almost 1,000 typhoid fever cases were reported nationally in 1998, the year the Philippines witnessed the biggest El Nino phenomena to date.
Then how can we help our planet Earth?
Here are the main ways to stop climate change. Number 1 is fossil fuels should remain underground. Coal, oil, and gas are examples of fossil fuels. The more of these are extracted and used, the worsening climate change will be.
Invest in renewable sources of energy. The greatest solution to quit using fossil fuels is to switch our primary energy sources to clean and renewable energy. These include geothermal wave tidal, and wind energy methods.
Change to eco-friendly transportation. Fossil fuels are used in petrol and diesel, automobiles, airplanes, and ships. Air pollution will be decreased as a result of cutting back on flying, moving to electric vehicles, and reducing car use.
Restore nature to increase carbon absorption. The natural environment is excellent at removing our pollutants, but we must take care of it. A good place to start is by strategically placing trees or returning land to its natural state through rewilding initiatives.
Number 5. Protecting our forests. Protecting forests is an important climate solution since they are essential in the fight against climate change. Industrial forest clearing eliminates massive trees that could absorb enormous amount of carbon.
Large amounts of carbon dioxide from the atmosphere are also absorbed by the oceans, which contributes to the stability of our climate.
And lastly is reducing the use of plastic. Reducing the use of plastic since oil is used to make plastic, and it takes a startling amount of carbon to extract and refine. Since it doesn't decompose quickly in nature, a lot of plastic is burned, which increases emissions.
In the simplest way, we need to be observant and we need to use our minds. To protect our environment, we need to do a simple way of cleaning our environment. For example, picking the trash and putting it in the right garbage, avoiding smoking, avoiding burning, deforestation, pollution, and so on.
In the end, we living beings are going to suffer if we don't do something about it. That's why we need to use our intellect and will to make better decisions as humans and to help our Earth.
This advocacy is created so that we gifted humans can help other living beings to speak up, such as animals. Since they don't have the ability to use their intellect and will, we are the ones who must help them. We are the ones who lived on this planet, and we should also be the ones who's going to protect it and not destroy it. And lastly, let me ask you something. What will happen to our future if we won't do something about climate change?